In most RPGs, especially those with sprawling open worlds, fast travel is a convenience we've all come to rely on. Bethesda games like The Elder Scrolls and Fallout make it standard practice, but what if I not only ignored fast travel, but openly mocked it? What if I spit on its convenience and chose instead to trek across the land of Tamriel on foot like some kind of masochist? Enter, can I beat Oblivion as a crippled Dracula? Now, when I say crippled, I don't mean physically disabled. In fact, quite the opposite. I mean self-imposed restrictions that turn our vampiric protagonist into a nocturnal, sun-fearing, fast-travel-hating nightmare. That's right, no fast travel allowed. Every destination must be reached the hard way, and every sunrise is a threat. Originally, this challenge was going to be, can I beat Oblivion as a streaker? But due to some issues with that script, I've moved on to this undead adventure. Still, if the idea of naked dungeon crawling interests you, drop a like and let me know in the comments, and of course, feel free to suggest your own curse challenge runs while you're at it. With that out of the way, let's dive fang first into this journey. No fast travels, no mercy, just me, the night, and a lot of running. I chose Khajiit for my race and named him after my cat, because if I'm going to suffer, he might as well join me in spirit. We wake up in a cozy little jail cell where everyone's favorite tax-evading dark elf starts taunting us from across the hall. He claims there's a juicy rat in his cell, but I ignore him because I know how this plays out. Instead, I stand silently like the law-abiding prisoner I am, waiting for the real show to start. And sure enough, here comes the Emperor with his little entourage of blade bodyguards. They tell me to move to the back of the cell, and because I'm a polite little furball, I comply. That's when the Emperor locks eyes with me. For a moment, I think we're about to have a romantic subplot, but no. He just starts monologuing about prophecies and the gates of Oblivion. Yawn. All I hear is, we're busting you out, and that's all I really need. The jailbreak begins and we're immediately ambushed by Mythic Dawn cultist. Captain Renault gets absolutely folded, and in the spirit of frugality I decide to borrow her katana. Why use my own gear when someone else already paid the ultimate price for it? After the Emperor abandons me, rude, I press on alone, only to have a rat literally foos roda through a crumbling wall to attack me. Fortunately, his cooldown meter was apparently still ticking, and I dispatch him with ease. I then get an idea. A terrible, wonderful idea. I realize that aside from my one major restriction, being a vampire, I can do pretty much anything else I want, so naturally, I choose to spend an unhealthy amount of time standing still, letting rats bite me while I raise my block skill to apprentice level. It's the Oblivion version of meditation, if meditation involved rodents gnawing on your legs. Renault's katana holds up beautifully, which is great, because if I'm going to grind, I'd rather do it with someone else's sword. By the time I reach the sewer exit, I'm already halfway to my first level up. Not bad for a fresh out of prison vampire cat man. Not much happened here aside from this chef's kiss moment where a goblin gets clobbered at the very last second. It gave off serious Home Alone paint can to the face energy, and I just had to include it. Comedy gold. Literally, because I looted the chest right after for a handful of coins. Not that gold is going to matter much later, but hey, a vampire's gotta eat. We cruise through the rest of the tutorial zone with minimal resistance. Then we reunite with the Emperor and his loyal backup dancers, just in time for another Mythic Dawn ambush. And I've gotta say, who designed this escape route? If I can break out of this prison with a spoon and a dream, how secure can it really be? It's like the Mythic Dawn has VIP access to the entire Imperial city. Anyway, plot happens. Uriel Septum stops for some casual astrological small talk asking what sign I was born under. After some minor deliberation, and by that I mean which one lets me run faster, I chose the steed for the speed bonus. I'm going to be hoofing it across Tamriel without fast travel, so anything that keeps me from aging in real time is appreciated. Not to mention the absolutely illegal restoration speed exploits I hope to abuse later. At one point, I tried to use the Khajiit's racial power, Eye of Fear. Shockingly, it works. This might be the only time it works. Maybe once or twice more, but not in the way it's intended. You'll see. Maybe I don't understand the rules. Maybe the Mythic Dawn stage 9/11. Maybe memes can melt steel dreams. Who knows? Eventually, we're told to protect the Emperor with our lives, and seeing as I'm on track to become undead, I didn't really take that to heart. One of the cultists demonstrates the proper way to skewer royalty before lunging at me, but we handle him swiftly. Then Boris gets emotional for half a second and asks us to choose a class. I ignore the pre-mades and make my own, because I'm a control freak with trust issues. I go with combat as my specialization, with agility and speed as my favorite attributes, because again, marathon simulator. I'll throw up the major skills on screen, but the key ones are restoration, blade, and light armor. The rest are there just to fill space and look pretty. At this point, I ignore the remaining enemies and sprint out of the sewer like a feral cat chasing freedom. It's time to leave this tutorial nightmare and finally sink my teeth into Tamriel. Literally. Before I can fully embrace my inner Dracula, we've got two major tasks: level up and become a vampire. Now yes, I could just use console commands and infect myself instantly, but I wanted this run to be as legitimate as possible. No cheating, no god mode shortcuts, just good honest vampirism. First step, Reindeer Staffs, where I sell off the shaman staff I swiped from the Goblin Witch. Gotta fund my undead future somehow. After that, I crash at the inn and finally level up. My speed's already a spicy 65, so I drop 5 points into willpower, agility, and you guessed it, speed. We're gonna be flying across Tamriel in no time. Now on to the infection part. This is probably the first time in my life I've actually sought out a disease. Actually, scratch that. During COVID, I worked a job where I was doing deliveries, sales, and warehouse shifts all by myself for like 3 weeks straight. I may or may not have tried to catch COVID just to get a day off. Keyword tried. Anyway, tangent over, back to Oblivion. I buy some glow dust from the main ingredient to prep for Azura's Daedric quest. It's one of the earliest ones you can start, and while enemies are a bit overpowered at low levels, it is one of the easiest ways to catch vampirism. I set a marker for Azura's Shrine and start heading out. Except I don't, because I play games like a caffeine-fueled goblin with short-term memory loss. Instead, I veer off and decide to go visit Joffrey instead. I was still weighing my infection options and trying to resist the dark temptation of console commands. See, console vamping drops you in a room with literally everything in the game, and let's be honest, I don't have the willpower to say no to that. Along the way, I stopped by Sinkhole Cave, looking to score some mushrooms for healing potions and clear out a few bandits. Enemies at this point aren't too tough, but if you get mobbed, it can get dicey. Thankfully, I handled it like a pro. I sniped a bandit archer, then claimed his dinner because, well, he clearly wasn't going to eat it. Oh my god, I got something in my eye. I thoroughly looted the cave, even started working on the old security grind by unlocking chests like a proper RPG kleptomaniac, but then, after exiting Sinkhole Cave, I make a critical mistake. I won't spoil it, see if you can spot it and let me know in the comments. I won't cry much. I swing back to the cave again, make some potions and hit level 3. Still not a vampire. What a fraud. Feel free to hit that dislike button, I've earned it. This time, I boost willpower, agility, and speed again, and finally get back on the right path towards Azura's Shrine. Confidence restored, morality firmly checked at the door. On the way, I gather some flax seeds and columbine root pulp. Not essential, but hey, gotta respect the foraging grind. I get jumped by an imp who clearly didn't get the memo that I'm on a mission. He wanted the smoke, I gave him the sword. We're close now, vampirism is within reach. And that's when everything falls apart. Turns out I accidentally used the glow dust while crafting potions earlier. Yeah, that key item I bought to start the whole vampire plan, gone. Mixed it into a healing potion like an idiot. Massive bummer. I deal with this crushing defeat the only way I know how, by venting my rage at the Temple of the Ancestor moths. I'm not sure if the NPCs were a part of a quest, but if they were, they aren't anymore. We open a door and immediately get jumped by 3 robed weirdos. Now I would say they were no match for me, but these guys were out here mugging me like it was their day job. Desperate times call for desperate powers, so I busted out the Eye of Fear, and shockingly, it worked again. 2 for 2. Maybe this ability isn't trash after all. Spoilers, it still is. After patching myself up with restoration, I carved through the remaining cultists like a morally flexible lawnmower. Nothing says therapy like swinging sharpened steel at robe-wearing zealots. Seriously, 10 out of 10 stress relief. A bit deeper into the temple, I stumble across the serene little mushroom garden. Clearly these cultists had a self-sufficient gig going here, probably growing their own potions. A shame I needed XP more than they needed dinner. Then I see a trap. I know it's a trap, and instead of avoiding it like a rational being, I try to jump over it, but end up launching myself into it like a medieval acrobat with no bones. My ragdoll corpse gets obliterated by logs. Beautiful. Reload. We push further into the corridor and find a lone guy hanging out next to a stone like he's waiting for a bus. What catches my eye is his katana, a sleek, two-handed beauty that immediately makes me reconsider my life choices. I don't equip it just yet, but this moment right here shapes the rest of the run. The age of one-handed weapons is over. We leave the temple of the ancestor moths. We leave the temple of the ancestor moths, and the game promptly dies on me. Loading screen hangs, classic Oblivion. It's broken, it's janky, and I love it with my whole undead heart. After a quick reset, we're back in action. Back in the world, we leave the temple and immediately learn Fortify Fatigue. Borderline useless as a spell, but hey, it counts towards leveling restoration, so I'll take what I can get. After some light research, aka googling Oblivion glow dust locations, I learned there's a statue in the Bruma Mages Guild. I set a blue marker and begin the hike towards my long overdue undead transformation. On the way, I level up again, this time using the beds left behind by some former residents. Listen, a good night's sleep is hard to find in Tamriel, and apparently it was worth this guy's life. We bump up willpower, speed, and agility yet again, because muscle vampires are cool, but fast magical vampires are terrifying. After a mostly uneventful trip to Bruma, we finally make it to the Mages Guild. Now I could just join like a law-abiding citizen. Or I could pick the lock and get a rush of dopamine that lasts 5 seconds but makes me feel alive. You already know what I chose. We break in and start searching. At first I'm pretty disappointed, no glow dust in sight, but then bam! There it is on a table, hidden right behind some clutter. Absolute jackpot. We've officially got the glow dust. Time to go rub it on ourselves like a Daedric body lotion and prove to Azura we belong in her exclusive little fan club. Before heading back to Night Mommy, I decided to pay a visit to Jurl's house. She wasn't home, and neither were her top secret Mythic Dawn plans. Total bummer, but hey, free books? I'm sure she won't miss them. Literacy theft is still theft, but it's for a good cause. Probably. We make our way back to Azura's shrine, slicing through a wolf on the way. I briefly consider taking its skin as a trophy, but my pockets are full and my morals are inconsistent. Azura appears and tells us that some of her last shrine devotees went a little too hard at the Daedric wine tasting and locked themselves in a cave. She sounds like a disappointed mom who's done calling the police on her kids and just wants someone to handle it. Their names? Fido, Bingo, Banjo, Todd, and Phyllis. I accept her request, not because I care, but because this is my ticket to finally becoming a vampire. The cave, gutted mine, is mercifully closed, so we head over, and immediately regret it. First guy in the door two-shots me like I walked into New Game Plus mode wearing pajamas. After a few deaths and some trial and error, I finally managed to get vampirism. But we've got bigger problems. One of the infected dudes apparently imprinted on me like a Twilight werewolf because this guy would not stop following me. I'm talking bloodhound levels of dedication. At one point, a bandit tries to team up with me and this vampire just deletes him from existence, like one-hit annihilation. That's when I realize I'm in way over my head. So I do the noble, heroic thing and pass the buck to a guard. I walk up to him and deliver the motivational speech of a generation. Now it's your time. Things may be bleak, but what you will do today decides the fate of Tamriel. Now go fight that vampire. Yeah, I may have borrowed that from Martin Septum, but the guard didn't live long enough to sue me for plagiarism. The vampire makes very short work of him. Then the game starts breaking in classic Oblivion fashion. I try to cheese the fight by running in and out of the city gate, hoping to heal while the vampire stays locked out like a confused Jehovah's Witness. And then it just ends. I step back out and there he is, dead on the ground. Like my game felt sorry for me and rage quit on my behalf. Confusing, yes. Convenient, also yes. I take his sword, thank the Elder Scrolls God for divine intervention, and with my first major goal complete, the real game begins. We check back into an inn and sleep for 3 straight days to let the infection soak in. Real vampire behavior. Somewhere during that dirt map, I level up again, focusing on the usual suspects, willpower, speed, and agility. And there it is, vampirism. Now look, Vampirism isn't all bad. Early stages are actually kinda nice. You get buffs to strength, speed, and some night predator perks, but the later stages, not so much. Merchants won't talk to you, quest givers lock their doors, and standing in the sun becomes a one-way ticket to death by toast, like instant crispy Catman. That's why I'll be putting times fed counter on the screen. The personal challenge, stay under 5 feeds. Can I do it? Probably not, but we're gonna try. Before heading to Kvatch like a responsible hero, I made a quick detour to Molag Bal's shrine, and since I had stolen a lion's pelt, I wanted to see if it would get me on the guest list. Turns out, his quest has a hard level cap of 17. Too rich for my undead blood. Disappointing, but we've got bigger fish to fry. I finally stop stalling and head to Welkynd Priory to deliver the Amulet of Kings. Joffrey hits me with a spicy lore bomb. Emperor Uriel had a secret son, Martin, who's apparently cosplaying as a monk in the peaceful, uneventful town of Kvatch. What could possibly go wrong? On my way there, I spot some Ayleid ruins, and because fast travel is banned but shiny distractions are not, I head inside to loot some Welkynd stones. The dungeon immediately humbles me. I fall into every pit, trigger every trap, and somehow keep thinking the next hallway will be safe. It wasn't, but perseverance and bad decisions pay off. I walk away with a full stack of Welkynd stones, slightly concussed but rich in glowing space rocks. Next stop, Hackdirt. Not for any real reason, I just wanted to level up. The locals were less than welcoming. I tried to find a side quest, got yelled at, and ended up just going to sleep like a disappointed Airbnb guest. Suddenly, I wake up sizzling like a Popeye's 2-piece. My vampire symptoms have fully kicked in, and you know what? I'm thrilled. Why? Because now I can grind restoration all day by setting foot in the sunlight. Pain is temporary, level ups are forever. Until I get better spells though, I'm stuck living the nocturnal lifestyle, so I wait for nightfall and set out for Kvatch. But then something sparkly catches my eye. It gleamed, it glitz, I screamed like a teen. Miscarcand appeared in shimmering sheen. Yep, Miscarcand, the legendary lost city and critical main quest location. I had no reason to be there yet, but I saw an opportunity to skip ahead, so I kill a few goblins guarding the entrance and dive in. I start using the burning claymore I picked up off of the vampire, and let me tell you, this thing is sick.
Oh my god!
I thought this was where I'd find Tiber Septim's armor. It wasn't. I got my quests mixed up, but my enthusiasm, still valid. We fight a zombie, then some more goblins, and I get ready to level up again. I'm feeling good, confident, nothing can stop me now. Until I walk into a room and instantly get jumped, mugged, and emotionally broken.
Get up off of me! Oh shit! No!
They took everything. My potions, my pride, probably my social security number. We reload. This time I go in with a little more humility, and that's when something magical happens. One of the enemies just ignores me. Like, full on doesn't care that I exist. It's one of those bizarre game moments that's either a glitch, divine mercy, or both. I grab the Varla Stone, which, if you don't know, completely restores your enchanted gear. These things are crack for mages and keep even the most broken staves going forever. I'm still under the impression I'm hunting down Tiber Septim's armor, and I'm laughing at myself in this script because I am confidently wrong.
So if I can take out some of the blades, from what I remember, one of them has a katana.
A few skirmishes later, we find the Great Welkynd Stone, and I grab it like I knew it was here the whole time.
Hey!
I didn't. And then the King of Miscarcand spawns in, and let me tell you, this guy could have ended my run right here if he would have used his staff. He didn't. I got insanely lucky, and you'll see why later. After some lockpicking and loot scooping, we finally exit the dungeon and return to our original goal, Kvatch. On the way, I find an abandoned farmhouse and rest up. Level 6, baby. This time I put points into strength and agility since I've been swinging two-handers like a caffeinated lumberjack. Hopefully this keeps me ahead of the world scaling curve. Spoiler alert, it didn't. The second half of this run is pure pain. Right in front of us stands a big old gate to Oblivion, and I do what any hero would. Ignore it completely. I wasn't here to save some doomed city. I was here for Brother Martin, our soon-to-be sidekick. We do a quick Mario jump over a rock.
Oh shit! I should have gone third person for that.
Style points 10 out of 10. Functionality questionable. I'm still mostly ignoring enemies because I'm laser focused on getting the sigil stone. I am playing the game technically, but my brain is speedrunning even if my feet aren't. At one point, I use the Eye of Fear on a Daedra, and instead of running, he just stares at me like I'm his prom date. Kinda freaky. Eventually, we make it to the sigil room, loot the punished, and grab the sigil stone. There's a cure poison tome in there too, which isn't game breaking, but it did make me smile. Small joys. I consider helping Kvatch, but then I remember it takes forever and no one really likes that town. I grab Martin and get out. Back at Wayne and Priory, this guy comes running up like he's in a soap opera. Okay, buddy, calm down. Try not to embarrass yourself in front of the Emperor's maybe son. I get folded like a cheap lawn chair, but bounce back and push through the fight. We find out the Amulet of Kings has been stolen. Who could have guessed? I loot Prior Maberyl's body. No regrets. Then we nap, level up, and boom, our speed hits 100. Okay, technically it's boosted by vampirism, but let me have this moment. Speaking of vampirism, I walk outside, instantly start sizzling, and nope back inside like a vampire rotisserie chicken. We wait for nightfall. Running through the woods next to a deer, I suddenly faceplant into the dirt. I don't know what I did to deserve that, Bambi. I didn't shoot your mom. Chill. We pass another Oblivion gate and ignore it like that one weird uncle at Thanksgiving. This run is all about bare minimum main quest effort. Problem? Vampirism has progressed to the point where merchants won't talk to me. Time to add a feeding tally. Here's where the master plan kicks in. I'm going to use the duplication glitch to clone Welkynd stones, get rich, unlock Frostcrag Spire, and spellcrafting. Why? Because I'm going to boost my speed stat into the stratosphere, or at least try. I want to run so fast I can outrun loading screens. We dupe over 400 Welkynd stones, sell them in batches of 30, and grind mercantile along the way. By the end, I've got over 16,000 gold, which is enough to get all the Mage Tower upgrades. Big W. After another nap and some level ups, we set back out. The goal? Break Oblivion, or at least outrun your mom's appetite. That's right, sick burn, smash that like button. We take Martin to Clavruler Temple. He gives a speech, but I had the sound off, no headphones, so we skip it. Joffrey tells us Boris is waiting in the Imperial city. We head out. At this point, I'm so fast I can ignore most enemies, and that's exactly what I do. My enemies have learned the hard way that speed kills, mostly because I can outrun every attack. Too bad that didn't help me in high school. We meet Boris at the bar. He says to follow him to trap a Mythic Dawn agent. I follow by walking up, sword already out, ready to yeet this cultist into next week. We start swinging and Boris finishes him off. Legend. Honestly, Boris is one of my favorite NPCs. Bethesda really nailed his and Joffrey's faces in the remaster. We take the guy's book and Boris sends us to meet a freaky lizard lady at the Arcane University. Ah, classic Oblivion. The Blades think we can find their hideout using these Mythic Dawn commentaries and send us to the first edition bookstore. Before that, we sleep, hit level 9, and progress feels good. Our stamina hits 297, which is just ridiculous at this point. At the bookstore, Fintius tells us someone's coming to buy a rare copy. He loans us his, which is chill, and we wait for the guy. Then Gwyneth shows up. I briefly consider murdering him, but then remember bribery exists. Throw some money in his face, embarrass them in public, and boom, third commentary acquired. Next step, a VIP tour of the Mythic Dawn sewer dungeon. But that's just the beginning. As I've said, I'm trying to break this game wide open. And while I'm sure there are better ways, spellcrafting is my current obsession. I might even do a modern Morrowind style run later. For now, we make our way to Frostcrag Spire. Final stage, become Sonic the Hemoglobin. Picking up where we left off, inside a sewer, because of course we are. I'm hiding from the sun and licking my wounds, and I've got a confession. I died on my first attempt climbing to Frostcrag Spire. Sunlight plus steep terrain equals a crispy vampire and a lot of regret. After a mostly uneventful hike, if you don't count the burns, we scale the mountain while healing, and there it is, Frostcrag Spire. We pick the lock, head inside, and read the book to unlock our upgrades. Time to return to the Mystic Emporium and grab the Magato candles. This is why I duplicated all those Welkynd stones. You can get away with buying just one set of candles, but honestly, that's peasant behavior. I want both, it's a vibe thing. The descent down Frostcrag is like parkour on hard mode. A single misstep will take half your health, which is fun when you're basically a fragile undead gazelle. But we make it and return to the Imperial city, wait out the daylight hours at the inn, then march over to the Emporium and finally buy the candles. Moment of truth. Now we can become the loading screen. No, I don't know what that means either, but it sounded cool. Back to Frostcrag Spire again. With no fast travel, this playthrough is slowly becoming a walking simulator with extra steps. Except you're walking through a mix of glue and quick drying cement with a bomb strapped to your chest called It's 4 AM and you haven't slept in 23 hours. Time advances, and so does my vampirism. At this point, I took a 24-hour break from the game because I needed to remember what joy felt like. Restoration hits 40. Not game-changing, but still satisfying. At last, the holy grail of Oblivion, this spell-making altar. We place the candles, unlock the enchantment tools, and start making magic. I'll spare you most of the crafting because half these spells are borderline unusable unless you're playing a mana-chugging slug. We build a restoration boost spell and a couple of speed buffs and get to work. Q, acrobatics grinding, jumping around like an undead frog while healing. Not the most effective experience method, but steady. If you hear anything, there is a trash truck outside the house, but I'm still going to keep going. Here we make our MVP spell, a simple speed buff that guzzles mana, which in turn levels us faster. We've been stacking willpower all run long, so now our mana refills faster, stamina is higher, and it's all finally clicking into place. This is starting to feel like a puzzle coming together. We feed again at Wild Eye Stables to avoid vampire NPC aggro, feeding tallies now at 2, and then return to the Imperial city to meet Boris again. He lets us know where we need to go to meet the Mythic Dawn sponsor. Somehow, without any coordinates, he knows exactly where to go. Blade intuition, I guess. The sewers are crawling with angry goblins. They smell the undead on me and go full mob mode. I reload and Boris and I tag team them. Our security hits 25, which is something, I guess. Fewer tumblers fall when I screw up. Great. We reach the sponsor room and I tell Boris to meet the guy while I wait up top. They spot me immediately. I realize being a vampire doesn't make me Batman. Panic mode engaged. I dip out of the room. Tactical repositioning, not cowardice. I realize how broken my staff is and decide Boris knows too much. I vaporize him and the cultist, grab his katana, healing potions, and the 4th book. Off to the tomb of Cameron. We button mash the tomb until we have the cult's hideout. They are not ready for this vampire. We equip the chameleon ring, which is insane, and another for frost protection. Gotta stay frosty. No stealth this time. We blast the doorkeeper and charge in. Harrow is right on top of us. Thankfully, the staff doesn't have friendly fire. We steamroll through the cult like we're ending a protest, grabbing potions and bodies as we go. We free our scaly prisoner and grab the cursed book. A poor soul gets fireballed into the afterlife. See you in paradise, or I'll immediately wreck it. More cultists, more carnage, Lady Luck is shining, and this staff is divine punishment. We nap in a cultist bed, level up to 11, and buff strength and intelligence. Then it's back to the gutted mind to finish the vampire quest that started it all. Not too rough this time, we claim victory. We return to Azura's shrine, finish her quest, and get her artifact. Finally, a gold star that works as a throwing weapon. Thanks, Mom. We hand over the Mysterium Xarxes to Martin. Joffrey says we need to find spies in Bruma. We find Jural's plans and feed again. 3rd feeding this run. Back to Cloud Ruler Temple, Joffrey gives us the expected "go kill them" line, so we oblige. We hit level 12, break the speed stat cap, and head back to confront Jural and her cult buddy. Back at Cloud Ruler Temple, Martin wants a Daedric artifact. Good news, Martin. I've been hoarding Azura Star like a pack rat. One divine artifact coming right up. Joffrey now wants help closing Bruma's Oblivion Gate. I humor him and wait with the guards even though I plan on ditching them. The game spawns them with you anyway, so efficiency. Inside we snag a grand soul gem and loot the place. Martin wants allies for Bruma. Too bad that's optional, I'm skipping it like gym class. Martin also needs a blood of a divine, and guess what? Tiber Septim's tomb is just down the road. Inside we're greeted by Casper the unfriendly ghost. I say hello to a flame sword. The dungeon is full of ghosts and confusion, but we manage. A bug keeps the final blade from moving, but thankfully it fixes itself. We grab the armor of Tiber Septim and recap our looted gear. One Oblivion Gate detour later, we enchant our gauntlets with the stone we snagged. Nothing crazy, but hey, they're not stolen anymore. Markin tells us we need a great Welkynd stone. Lucky for him, I already robbed Miscarcand earlier. He's thrilled, I'm prepared. On to the Great Gate. I go back to Frostcrag one last time to make better spells. It's underwhelming. Should have grinded restoration a little bit more instead. Back to Bruma, we chat to the Countess. She says, if Bruma falls today, the Empire falls. Okay, Drama Queen. Hey, it's not that serious. We wait for Martin, he gives a speech, and then chaos. I die the first time and decide to hang back. Pro strat. Wait for the final gate, then sprint in. We snag the Great Sigil Stone and get out. Most of the guards, Captain Bird, and Joffrey are dead, but Martin survives, and that's what matters. Back at Cloud Ruler Temple, we hit our final level up, and then paradise. But not before stepping into the courtyard and finding Martin completely naked. Not sure if it's a part of the ritual, he's the expert, not me. He opens the portal and flings me in. We arrive in paradise, and honestly, it's shockingly beautiful, for a dimension built by a madman. Then you remember everything here wants to kill you and turn your skin into a sofa. We stick to what we know, ignoring everyone, brute force the objective, and run like hell. It works. We catch Cathutep by surprise, pretend to serve him, and then turn him into a sparking electrical hazard with our staff. Classic bait and switch. I loot his body, thank him for his donation, and equip the gauntlets, allowing us to enter the grotto. Inside, I don't waste time. Ortho and his posse catch these hands, and I sprint through to meet Eldamil. He offers to remove the gauntlets and tag along for the final fight. Cool, extra bodies are always welcome. We push forward to Cameron's place, take in the lava meets divinity vibe, and prepare for the end. It takes a few tries, but I finally beat Mankar Cameron and his offspring. I loot everything, his clothes, staff, rings, and most importantly, his dignity. We're teleported back to Cloud Ruler Temple where Martin says it's time. We head to the Temple of the One for the final showdown, and surprise surprise, Mehrunes Dagon has pulled up like it's his birthday. But we don't fight him, we just run. All we need to do is make it to the temple and Martin handles the rest. Inside, Martin shatters the Amulet of Kings, transforms into Akatosh Incarnate, and goes full dragon on Dagon's oversized face. Victory. The Oblivion crisis ends. Tamriel is safe. Martin is gone. But at least the Daedric Prince of Destruction got turned into a flaming lawn ornament.
After the death of Joffrey Bush
Pineapple doesn't belong on pizza.
and Barack Boris,
I like big booty bitches like your mama and drone strikes.
the Blades were thrown into chaos. They needed a new leader. After many years of infighting and rebellions, a new one was found. Their name, Captain Trumpalt.
The Blades are huge, just absolutely massive. I don't think I've ever seen an organization this big or well put together. Quite frankly, it screams perfection. Sometimes at night, I lay there thinking about Joffrey Bush and Barack Boris. Their departure was unfortunate, but now we have a bigger goal. Make Tamriel Imperial again.
Whether this will be a dark time for the Blades is yet to be seen. Now like and subscribe. Give me some ideas for runs down below. Thank you.